Hello, my name is Ava McKinney, and the topic that I was assigned for my project are needle exchange programs, also known as NEPs. So, needle exchange programs are something that I've actually never really heard of or learned about throughout school. So, it was really interesting to do more research and just fully understand what they are and how they benefit communities around the world. So, just to give a little bit of more background information on what they are. They are a social service that allows injecting drug users, also known as IDUs, to obtain clean and unused needles that are at little to no cost. These programs are known to reduce the transmission of HIV and other bloodborne viruses from sharing injecting equipment. These programs have been a huge issue when it comes to funding due to a lack of political support. So the two articles that I explored go into more depth on the different perspectives that U.S. citizens hold regarding NEPs. So the first article that I read came from a more positive perspective and listed a lot of benefits regarding these different programs. The article started off by providing some more background information about HIV, AIDS, and what these different infections have to do with NEPs. Ever since the late 1900s, IDUs have accounted for nearly one-third of being at high risk for infection by HIV, AIDS, and other bloodborne pathogens. IDUs also account for cases of hepatitis B and hepatitis C. And this is why it's really important to have access to sterile needles and syringes when it comes to the prevention of these different infections. These different programs specifically do not encourage drug use among youth, and research shows that they are very effective in preventing the spread of HIV. And another huge component that the article touches on is that NEPs are meant to stop drug use through different treatment programs. And now transitioning to the second article that I explored, which regards a whole different perspective on NEPs. This had a different point of view, and the majority of this article focused specifically on the drawbacks of NEPs and came from a more negative perspective. Based on extensive review of these programs, researchers have discovered so many different problems and gaps when it comes to just how effective these programs actually are for communities. The article listed many different issues that researchers went on to explore, such as lack of comparison data, lack of reliability and validity. There's no clear operational definitions throughout studies, and there's a lack of data analysis on demographics, and the demographics they talked about were age, gender, social context, and race. And there is also a lack of replication studies, and that's really important because you need replication studies to see how past research worked and to see how it applies to future research as well. And just overall not providing enough information on HIV or AIDS. And the author of this article addresses that there are so many worries and unanswered questions about the benefits of these programs for IDUs. People are really questioning if these programs can be successful for future use. And this leads to further investigation on what future research needs to be done because there's still a lot of uncertainty about this topic in our society today. And in regard to the NASW Code of Ethics, there needs to be a persistent need for social workers to educate themselves to advance different ethical treatment and practices, especially when working with a client that has been affected by HIV or AIDS. Social workers really need to be aware that there are multiple barriers to the identification and treatment of HIV and AIDS. These can include poverty, limited access to health and behavioral care, irregular access to needle exchange programs, and other preventative services. And it's really important to not discriminate against these clients. Understand that they have a right to self-determination and decision-making. Respect their right to privacy, and to always be professional when discussing any type of topic with the client. And just to wrap all this up, overall, I would say that I did learn a lot from both articles and just about needle exchange programs in general. I'm glad that I got to fully understand what they were and how they benefit communities all over the world. And from the first article presented, it does seem like there are a lot of benefits for these programs, specifically for IDUs. And a lot of the points throughout the first article were very clear, and I can see where the author is coming from. There have been a lot of political debates over the specific issue regarding funding and especially health as well. From the points presented in the second article, I do agree that more research can be done just to make things more accurate, and especially since there's a lot of political debate, people are going to want more like facts on how this benefits the community, and especially like replicating the data, like I said before, would provide more accuracy. But honestly, both articles definitely did a great job at listing some valid points about NEPs. And again, there's definitely a lot of pros and cons, just depending on how you see the topic overall. And lastly, my discussion question for the class is, after learning more about needle exchange programs, what are your specific views on the issue? So I would want to know what you guys think about it, what side you're on. And I also want to know, do you think they would benefit IDUs that are affected by HIV and AIDS, or do you think they would have a more negative impact on society? And why specifically do you think this way? I really hope that I provided some good information about needle exchange programs, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation.